Today, we are going to be talking about the transformation of Loki. Loki is a figure from Norse mythology, and he's also from the Marvel Comics and in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. From Norse mythology, he's known as the trickster god, and he was involved in Ragnarok, which was the destruction of Asgard. What we see in the films is this god who is Thor's brother, who is thirsty for power. He's outcast by his father in the first film. Um, he leads the enemies to the death of his mother in the second film, and you know his actions literally are the creation of the Avengers. Okay, so like everything he does is pain and chaos and havoc until we see him on this TV show. Imagine for a moment that you got to see the end of your life, and you got to see all the decisions that you made in your life, and you got to see all the mistakes that you made. But then you realize that what you're watching is not actually your fate. This is his burden of glorious purpose. He's known this since he was a young person, that he wanted to be a king and that he would be king. So when we first meet him on the show, he is all the power that he was in possession of is stripped from him. And then he is sat down and put on trial to learn about all the mistakes of his past. Now, me being in DK's class and watching this show over the course of the last quarter and being in Leading Self, we were talking about self-actualization. We were talking about dealing with the shadow. We were talking about all of our failures. And for me, being divorced and a part-time parent, watching this show on top of all of these learnings, it was profound to see this, right? And now here we are talking about leading others, and they came out with a second season of this show, and it just continues right down this road. It's really truly a visual representation of self-actualization and what it takes to truly lead, to lead with empathy and to lead from experience. So, we see Loki. He has this moment where he sees the end of his life. It's literally the end of his file. And he starts laughing, right?
That's so funny.
And then someone walks in and it's like, what's so funny? Glorious purpose. Because now he knows what he has to do.
Should
he
you
has
return,
to not
what are you
make
going to
any
do?
of those decisions that he already made in the past.
Finish what I started, which is claim my throne.
You want to be king?
I don't want to be. I was born to be.
No, but king of what exactly?
You wouldn't understand.
Try me.
Midgard.
AKA Earth. All right, now you're the king of Midgard, then what? Happily ever after?
Asgard, the 9 realms.
Space?
Space.
Space is big. That'd be a nice feather in your cap. Loki, the king of space.
Mock me if you dare.
No, I'm not. Honestly, I'm actually a fan. Yeah, and I guess I'm wondering, why does someone with so much range just want to rule?
This show is about choices and the opportunity to change those choices. And that's what the multiverse represents, right? If we're all the same person in multiple universes, right? We're all the same essence, so to speak. different choices are going to be made in each one of those scenarios. And that's where we get all these variants from on this show.
I would have made it easy for them.
People like easy.
The first and most oppressive lie ever uttered was the song of freedom.
How's that one go?
For nearly every living thing, choice breeds shame and uncertainty and regret. There's a fork in every road, yet the wrong path always taken. What exactly is it that you want?
I want you to be honest about why you do what you do.
Liar.
I'm serious. All I seek is a deeper understanding of the fearsome god of mischief. What makes Loki tick?
My choices are my own.
Your choice is your own. Good. Let's go with that. You weren't born to be king, Loki. You were born to cause pain and suffering and death. That's how it is. That's how it was. That's how it will be. All so that others can achieve their best versions of themselves.
He has an interaction with an older version of himself. And the older version of himself shares some pretty profound insights. Let's take a look.
I simply drifted in space. Away from Thor, away from everything. Thought about the universe and my place in it. And it occurred to me that everywhere I went, only pain followed. So I removed myself from the equation. Landed on a remote planet and stayed there in isolation, in solitude, for a long, long time.
So what this old version of himself is saying, that he realized that anywhere he went, he caused pain. He caused chaos, and that's what his story was, and there's nothing he could do about it besides isolate himself so that he wouldn't cause pain and chaos. All right, so he meets another version of himself called Sylvie, which is like a female version of himself. And I thought this whole portrayal was really interesting because it's showing the thoughts of one's soul from both a masculine and a feminine energy, right? And throughout the course of their interactions together, they both come from chaos, they both know pain and suffering, and they both felt alone and isolated. So in their travels together, they learned how to support one another. I think this scene at the end between him and Sylvie speaks highly to self-regulation, because these are two warring energies inside the same container, so to speak. They're both versions of Loki, right? One's the masculine energy and one's the feminine energy. Loki is used to causing chaos. Loki knows how to cause chaos, right? In this particular scene, he's slightly down the road farther in his emotional intelligence than his other feminine version is. Which is interesting to see, because you always hear that women are more emotional, right?
And I can't be trusted.
What we see is him using his empathy, saying that I understand you.
Wait.
Let's take a look.
Wait. I've been where you are. I've felt what you feel. Don't ask me how I know. All I know is I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to throne. I just... I just want you to be okay.
Now, you know, it's a little bit of some cheese right there with the little kiss at the end, but it's a visualization of self-love. You know, if this is the same person, if this is the masculine energy, if this is the feminine energy, and this is the masculine energy telling the feminine energy within himself, like, I want you to be okay. I want you to be loved, you know? You've always felt alone. I know how that feels. I feel alone too. But I don't want anything else but for you to be okay. And then a cheesy kiss and the music, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's see.
It's not about where, when, or why. It's about who. I can rewrite the story.
I understand. But if I had to know, I mean, I really, really, really had to know, how long would it take? Decades.
Centuries.
We as humans, we're going to make many, many mistakes in our lives, right? I kind of look at them as case studies, right? Because then later in our lives, we get all this new information and we can kind of look back and like, huh, okay, I was doing this, okay, the situation was this, okay, their environment was that, okay, I understand a lot more about how I navigate in this world. I have some more self-awareness. In this story, he has to figure out all this knowledge to make something happen for the end of the series, right? I kind of equate it to like one might having to live a life over and over and over again to like make these self-realizations, right? Maybe I've been here before. Maybe the last time I was here, the mistakes that I made in the past was all I did was just make those same things over and over and over again, right? We're stuck in this plane of existence until we get to the understanding that we can move on to the next one. So, centuries later, he has to go through lifetimes of trial and error and learning and knowledge and self-awareness to be able to make these real hard decisions as a leader. Let's check this out.
I felt what you feel. You don't want this.
What's happening?
What are you gonna do?
Finish what I started,
Which is?
claim my throne.
We gotta keep going.
No. I know what this is.
What is it?
You want to know what makes Loki tick.
Yes.
You want to know why I do what I do, why I have so much range.
Yeah.
You're
So in the
gonna make
first
me listen,
season,
and then you're gonna
we see him go through all these situations and these conversations, right? And the second season
play
is
out
his
scenes from my
opportunity
whole life, how it's all
to
meant
learn
be.
from his own
Past,
mistakes,
present, future.
right? So we
Burdened
see
with
him
glorious purpose.
in this second
My
season
life is a waste of time. But be as
slipping
crazy
through
as I am.
time back to
Huge.
old scenarios and back to old conversations and finding new insight within them. Again, these are these case studies, right? This is the insights that I take from this. It's like I've been in this class and I've been learning all these things from DK and about all these readings that we're having with the emotional intelligence and with the creating high performance teams, you know? And the way that I'm picking up on how to get takeaways from it is looking back in my life, you know, and finding the self-awareness and using the mistakes that I've made in the past as case studies to move forward in the future, right?
What comfort is that? Comfort? Comfort. You're going to find comfort in the TVA. What's purpose? This is more burden than glory.
Most purpose is more burden than glory.
Avoids it because you can't live with the burden. How do you live with it? Scar tissue.
Scar tissue. Just think about that for a minute. That's how you live with all of the things from your past. You just gotta take the time for them to heal. They're always going to be there. But you just gotta give it the time that it needs for the wound to heal. And then you have your scar tissue.
She knew the hard thing to do was the thing that had to be done. And by hard, I mean impossible. Now, there's no comfort. You just choose your burden.
It's the sacred timeline. Or nothing.
It's not enough to protect the sacred timeline, Loki. Even down there, it's full of death and destruction and injustice. Do you really want to be the god who takes away everyone's free will so you can protect that?
But what good is free will? If everyone's dead.
And who are you to say we can't die trying? Who are you to decide we can't die fighting? You're replacing one nightmare with another. I grew up in apocalypses, Loki. I've lived through enough of them to know that sometimes it's okay to destroy something.
If there's a hope that you can replace that thing with something better. I know what I want. I know what kind of god I need to be. For you. For all of us.
So this is the moment. This is the moment where we watch someone transition into their actual self. To go from having tried on many different versions, having witnessed many different variants of themselves, having learned from mistakes, having grown in their empathy, having social skills, having the motivation to lead, and becoming the true version of themselves. This is the moment of self-actualization. Gotta take that step. That's also an ascension too. It's an ascension into your greatest version of yourself. Because once you have all the clarity, once you have all the knowledge, once you have the empathy, once you have the social skills and the motivation, then you have to put all these things into actual action to truly become the best version of yourself. And that's still, who knows how much work that has to be done, how many stairs that have to be climbed. But on top of all of that sits the best version of you if you could pull yourself to the top. You know? And then we witness him taking these final steps on this mound built out of a kintsugi as all the gold rushes to the throne that he has finally earned throughout all his trials and tribulations, throughout all of his learning, throughout all of the emotional intelligence, throughout all of his self-actualization. This is the moment where you truly become the best version of you. If you can figure out how to become the best version of you, you build a legacy. You know, the family tree, right? But like the old version of him said, he had to make a lot of sacrifice and sit with himself in isolation to be this great leader and protector of the multiverse. Now that's sacrifice. In conclusion, what's the hard thing for you? If you could go back and rewrite the story, if you could revisit the choices and make different ones, could you deal with the discomfort? Could you make the sacrifice? Can you grow and push yourself to ascend past your shadows and your mistakes to sit on your own throne of your fullest potential? Loki shows us a way that we can achieve the greatest versions of ourselves, and as he sits on a throne of time itself, we live in this moment right now, and now is all we will ever have. Let's make the best of it. Thank you for your time.